What is up, investing bros? Tis I, T-Shroom, here to bring you what matters with your crypto portfolio. Today we're going to be getting into some charts. We've got some news. We do have some unfortunate news. I'm going to be starting with that. Let's go ahead and dive on into it. Bored 8 Yacht Club sold for 83% less than what Kevin Hart paid for it. You heard that right. The famous comedian Kevin Hart, I guess, bought this NFT a while back, and now he's selling it here. Bored 8 Yacht Club number 9258, once owned by American comedian Kevin Hart, was traded for around 13.26 Ether, around $46,200 earlier today on Blur, a non-fungible token exchange, after changing hands multiple times over the weekend. As you can see here, if you scroll all the way to the present, you can see that the sale did indeed happen for that amount of Ethereum. And scrolling all the way back to its initial sale is indeed 79.5 Ethereum. Of course, that is a huge a huge loss there. Hart purchased the Bored 8 yacht, wearing a colorful propeller hat in January 2022. It's on our thumbnail for 79.5 Ether, worth almost $200,000 at the time, according to Blur. So $200,000 is how much Kevin Hart paid for this Bored 8 Yacht Club NFT. Okay, and nothing wrong with that. That makes sense, right? The man's got a lot of money. But unfortunately, that NFT is now only worth, I guess, the only buyers out there were only willing to pay $46,200. Does not bode well for the NFT project in the current moment. But I have a feeling that if you ask somebody about this article into the future, around October, August of this year, maybe a little later, maybe March, maybe this time next year, I think that folks would be absolutely just befuddled why they didn't try to get this NFT at $46,000. I have a feeling that in the future, maybe it'll be in the fall, maybe it'll be in the spring of next year, but this NFT will be worth a lot more money in the NFT world, and Kevin Hart will be definitely a little sad that he sold it. But there's also a little bit of controversy here. Going back into history, back into 2022, go ahead and smash the likes for me. I'm going to get into the purple highlighted part is a little more controversial, a little bit more interesting, a little more wild. We'll get into that. Let me know. Do you guys want to hear it though? Because it's honestly not going to affect your crypto portfolio. So I don't necessarily if I want to get into that drama, the crypto drama, right? But if you guys let me know in the chat, do you want me to read that part? Kind of goes more into some dramatic aspects of crypto. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys want me to read that part? Guys, today's episode is actually brought to you by iTrust Capital. Take a look here at their web and desktop platforms. As you can see, you can add funds, you can buy and sell just like you would on any exchange, except this is not just any exchange. This is a tax-advantaged exchange where you can buy and sell crypto, gold and silver within an IRA. That's right. If you're an American, you're going to be paying capital gains tax if you are selling your crypto, right? And so if you do that in an IRA, you actually get a lot of tax advantages and you end up paying a lot less in taxes. Well, let's see. Before we go to the next story here, we're going to be getting into a little bit of the central bank world. Before we get into that, I want to see, did anybody say anything about this really dramatic? Oh, Blackie Chan said no drama. Okay. Kartik Philly said, "What's up, bros? Did you hear about Goldfinch? Why is it so pumping so hard?" I did not hear about Goldfinch, going to be honest with you. But I'm sure that it's really, really cool. C90 FTW said drama free since 9 a.m. Okay. I'm not sure. Mellow Fellow said, "Let's hear it, T." Okay. So save the drama for your mama. Dang. You guys are hilarious, man. Well, we'll see. I need to hear. I'll honestly hear a lot of people saying they don't want to hear it. So we'll let that ride for now. Well, maybe we'll circle back on it if we have some time at the end. But it is 9:06, so let's keep on chugging. Let's go over to the charts. Let's go over to the charts, bros. Of course, it was Jasif Gunter who was the first in chat, said, "LOL, when is YouTube going to fix the thumbnail things?" Not sure what that is referring to there, but thank you for tuning in, Joseph. And then we also had Crypto Freddy said, good morning, my bros. And Yair Navarro, a very familiar name, dropping that GM ADA saying, just buy ADA, y'all. That's the financial advice. Just kidding. From over there from A to Ace. You got to love it. A Head and Shoulders was possibly going to be playing out here over on Avax. As you can see here, this was a Head and Shoulders. The first shoulder was kind of forming here back in mid-March, or March 15th. We're now on March 25th, if you're watching this in the future. But we had a nice little Head and Shoulders here that was looking like it was going to pan out. Potentially the neckline penetration would have brought us, with the price potential, down to $34 per coin. That Head and Shoulders has not broken out. It's defied the odds. And what are the odds, you might ask? What are the odds that a Head and Shoulders breaks out? Well, I've got it here for you. The Head and Shoulders pattern are statistically the most accurate of the price action patterns, reaching their projected target almost 85% of the time. Regular Head and Shoulders pattern is defined by two swing highs, the shoulders with a higher high between them. And then we got confirmation as well that is a pretty accurate percentage, because Liberated Stock Trader says 81% success rate. So very interesting success rate, and an average price move of 16% during a bull market. Okay, so well that's for stocks. So that last part pretty much just ignore. But 81 to 85%, it's a high percentage breakout. I believe ascending and descending triangles are somewhere in like the low 70s percentage of likelihood to break out. And guys, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. You're in the right place. Here in the Investing Bros, we try to do a little bit of noob-friendly content. And for those of you who have been trading for a long time, what I just went into is probably very familiar to you. But a pattern is whenever the price chart, right, which if I take away all the drawings and everything here, this is the price chart, right? The price of AVAX, which is a crypto, is summarized here in these candlesticks. Now I'm on the 4-hour chart, right? So each candlestick represents 4 hours of the trading price movement for AVAX, again, which is a cryptocurrency. And ultimately, what you can see here is that AVAX was pretty much, kind of trading flat, trading in what was an ascending megaphone pattern here, and then a descending triangle, right? So ultimately, it kind of played out, but it really just kind of stayed flat here, right around $55 per coin. What's important is that it held the line here, right? There were mostly higher highs in here all throughout, and that ultimately led to what is known as a bullish move, right? Now, it shouldn't have happened, though. 85% of the time, this move higher should not have happened. It should have been to the downside, right? There should have been a move instead of to the upside like it's happening now. There should have been a move to the downside. That happens only about 15% of the time, right? According to these two websites that we looked at. So ultimately here, guys, it's really interesting. There's other price action patterns, of course, descending, ascending triangles, pennants, many other things. We're about to go look at Bitcoin, which could be an ascending, could be a pennant. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. But before we do, let's go out, because we're not on the AVAX chart a whole lot here on the 9 a.m. stream. Let's take a look at it a little more zoomed out. As you can see on the daily chart, AVAX has been able to stay up above the midline of the Bollinger Band quite well here. Go pretty much since, let's see, when was the last time we had a check on that? Mid-March, so March 11th. Been doing that for a really, really long time now. It's nice to see. That does bode pretty bullish for AVAX, as it has also been able to kind of get a recharge here, not even coming close to the 50 line. So AVAX looking very bullish on the daily. On the MACD, we got a bull cross. I'm sorry, we had a bear cross that actually resolved the bullish, right, for the most part. We're still in red histograms. It'll be nice to see that flip green. But ultimately, what you're seeing here on the resumption higher after a Head and Shoulders, and really the flipping of this bear cross really is defying the odds, right? Very bullish for AVAX. So you gotta love it. You gotta love it. And then the Lux ALGO oscillator matrix definitely being very bullish here. You have a little bit of this is the daily chart. You have a little bit of a slight money flow kind of pointing up, but I'd say that's kind of mostly flat. Just the fact that it's green is bullish. Moving along here, look, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, the king of crypto, the original OG blockchain. Let's take a look here at the price chart for it. I'm on the daily chart, And as you can see, the daily chart not giving us a whole lot other than pretty obviously we're getting a higher low here since May 19th. Higher low is bullish. Let's go ahead and go on down into the, let's look at this. The oscillator matrix from ALGO is starting to get back up to the 50. So trending back to the 50, had a lower high here, which is not good, but we are breaking through and looking like we're going to be putting a higher high in. So that's nice. That's nice to see money flow flat with a slight bearish tint to it. Overall here, I think what's much more interesting is going to be much down at the 4 hour here. I'm sure a lot of you guys can already see this. I have it drawn out pretty nicely, to be honest with you. So it's fairly obvious here, but we're knocking really hard for the third time on this downtrending line of resistance, right? This kind of a breakout would be pretty good. Let me see if I can measure this bad boy out. Let's see, probably around here. Whoop, getting a little bit sticky here on my screen. Let's check it out here. So the breakout could potentially put us up here at 74,400, which would put us at a new all-time high. Probably a little too early for the air horn sound effect. Pardon me, but that is a pretty decent breakout potential there. So that would be for Bitcoin. Now, what you're looking at here though is that we are still in the pennant / up ascending triangle, whatever you want to call this, and ultimately it hasn't broken out yet, right? You have to get that candlestick print above the downtrending line of resistance to flip it into support, or else you're just going to you're going to hang out here a little longer. We might see a breakdown lower and a test back of the, one of these lower levels, maybe down here, but then ultimately probably at that point, a breakout. Or in the unfortunate case, a continued test lower to the downside. That's possible, right? At this point, I'm starting considering how bullish how bullish we've been very recently. Tim and I basically begging Bitcoin to have a pullback at this point, and now we got it. I'm almost of the mind that this is enough, right? This is enough sideways movement. This is enough of a cool off. That's kind of the conclusion I'm coming to, and that this is going to break out to the upside. Maybe not Monday, but maybe this is going to happen maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday, So that's kind of what I'm thinking here, guys, over on Bitcoin. But as you can see, trading above the midline of the Bollinger Band there on the 4 hour, and on the daily is testing that midline of the Bollinger Band. So that is the battleground right now, yet again for Bitcoin. As you can see here on the daily chart, it's that midline of the Bollinger Band. Let me get rid of all the lines, as you can see, so you can just see the beautiful bands known as the Bollinger. We really want to see this get back up above, what would this be here? Price 67.8, call it. Really want to see it get back up above that, print a candle, confirm the midline back as support, and then really go much, much higher from there. So we shall see. A lot of potential there for Bitcoin. We looked at the daily and the 4 hour charts, and I think that we were able to pull out a decent amount of insights there. Bitcoin likely to be going higher, and Avax lucky to be alive, defying the odds, right? It's really nice to see. Well, something else that's really interesting to see here is what's happening over in Switzerland. Major central banks reached a pivotal point this week. Here's what happened and what's next. So the article first covers Japan, which I'll briefly go over. So Japan down here, not in the top 5, you'll notice, of world central banks, but still significant, is positive. Now, this was the first time that this rate has been positive. Maybe it says in the article 17 years. That's crazy. It's been that long. So for 17 years, this rate has been negative. Big banks in Japan have been able to borrow money from the central bank essentially and get paid to do it, right? Now, you might think that's crazy. It is. You're right. It is crazy. It shouldn't exist, right? This is why Bitcoin's better. One of the reasons. There are many reasons. But what you'd be surprised to know is that many of these banks were actually negative. This time, I think it would have been early 2023, right? So a lot of these banks had negative interest rates. Now, what's really interesting here is within about a week removed from the Japanese rate change, which was the first time it went positive in a while, so that's significant hike, you get this headline. where you get this. Swiss National Bank, the Swiss National Bank on Thursday surprised the market by cutting its main policy by 0.25 percentage points to 1.5%. The really important word here is cut, right? Everything else kind of doesn't matter all that much. It's cutting, right? Insane. So what we're seeing here is the first cut. It's kind of like the first leaf to fall in after summer, right? You start to get into autumn and leaves start to fall. This is kind of the first leaf to fall, signaling what could potentially be a global reversal of going from monetary tightening to monetary easing, right? Making the money flow more available, making it looser, higher velocity of money. That usually correlates. Well, let's save the deeper analysis for another time. We'll have Caleb Franzen on Wednesday. Ultimately, now the question is, okay, do we start to get other central banks doing this? Clearly, the United States is the most important one, but it's going to take a while, as we saw from the Federal Reserve last week. Chairman Powell coming out, keeping the rates steady, giving us a pause, delivering a pause to the market. However, also saying that we are going to get a cut in 2024, but it's going to probably be a little later in the year than the market was expecting. Not the bond market, but the stock market was expecting. Bond market, as we know from Caleb Franzen's analysis, has been kind of pricing in no cuts until late 2024 for a while. T. Shroom, shut up about central banks and move on. I will. You guys, some of you are like, dude, who cares about the central banks? The thing is that they are very, very important, because one of the big things that has led to the last bull market, one of the big bullish forces in the last bull market, was the Federal Reserve's, the U.S. Federal Reserve's monetary policy that was very easygoing, a lot of sunshine and rainbows, basically printing money willy-nilly, and also bringing those interest rates to zero for, I think it was a decade plus, right? So that facilitated not only a boom for the crypto markets, but also a long period of growth for startup companies in the U.S. and all over the world, right? Because it kind of made that trend a quantitative easing trend. But T-Shroom, we told you to shut up about the central banks. You didn't. You just kept going. Let's pivot here. Cathie Woods calls Bitcoin a financial superhighway and reiterates that 1.5 million price target. This is, of course, ARK Invest CEO. There she is, Cathie Wood. She's known for being definitely a Bitcoin bull. I don't know that there was a ton in this article other than just kind of her quotation, which was, there are signals that not all the world is well. There are signals that not all is well in the world, is actually what she said. Many people have been getting that quote wrong, but that is actually what she said. She said this about countries like Nigeria, one of the biggest adopters of Bitcoin, because of the strong depreciation of the country's currency. Because of that, Wood sees Bitcoin as a risk-off asset and a risk-on asset. And so right now, I assume that she's kind of seeing that as risk-on. The world is starting to wake up to that fact. Bitcoin has miles to go, she said, instead, and pointed out to her previous call of $1.5 million per coin. Of course, this price prediction isn't expected to happen between now and 2025. The price prediction would be expected in 2030, right? So a while from now, and a bear market removed from the present as well. So don't think that you're going to have 1.5 million assets worth $1.5 million called Bitcoin in the next 2 years. That's more likely to happen, according to Cathie Wood, in 2030. So we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of leaning very heavily towards not selling my Bitcoin at the top of this bull market, but instead just keeping it, maybe selling 10, 15% of it. But the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think, what do I rotate into? Dollars, stable coins? They're both tethered to the value of the global commodities in an inflationary way. I don't necessarily, and it's designed to do that. It's 2% of my dollar every year is worth less, right? And over a long period of time, that obviously equates to lots of money in purchasing power, lots of wealth and purchasing power just going down the toilet. For what? Why? Why do that? Well, a lot of people are saying they're not going to do that. They're going to buy digital assets instead. And nobody wants to sell Bitcoin. Nobody wants to sell these digital assets either. Analysts are saying Bitcoin's on-chain activity is actually indicating. So let's take a look here at this article. And what you'll notice is a familiar name here. Average on-chain volume in U.S. denomination is well below the 2021 bull market peak. Hardly any value is being moved on-chain. Analysts at Blockware Solutions said in the latest edition of the Blockware Intelligence newsletter, nobody wants to sell. We actually had on our friend from Blockware Solutions not too long ago, and it was a really good conversation. I will have to reach out to him and get him to come back on soon to talk more about all their mining expeditions. They do a lot of Bitcoin mining. Once we see the price really start to move, they went on to say, that's when on-chain volume will surge. Older coins will move to exchange to be sold. Until then, low on-chain volume is a sign of supply-side illiquidity, which is bullish. When there's supply-side illiquidity, meaning limited folks who want to sell their Bitcoin, but there's a proportional amount of buyers, disproportional amount of buyers, that's when you see price go up into the right. Now, Bitcoin famously has had a period here where there has been kind of subdued growth, right? There's been a pullback, some might say. Now, folks are asking the question, will this pattern here, similar to the Avax pattern, will it defy the odds and actually make a movement to the downside? Because this should break to the upside, but could it break to the downside, defy the odds, and test lower for Bitcoin? Given how aggressively we saw the bulls back here, buying and buying and buying, and given how limited the downside price expiration has been, my conclusion is that this is going to test higher. And I think that we're likely to see a new all-time high for Bitcoin. Given how volatile this asset is, it really wouldn't be a lot to ask to get up just 10% here this week, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's definitely not guaranteed. And there's also a chance that we make a move higher, but it's not 10%. We don't get that all-time high, right? But I think higher is probably where Bitcoin is going from here. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. What do you all think? Do you think Bitcoin's going higher from here? It's hard to say. One coin that it's a little bit easier to say that we're getting a little clarity on is Tron. Binance to discontinue USDC support on the Tron blockchain. This is not good. This is not good. The crypto exchange decision comes more than 1 month after Circle announced that it immediately ended USDC minting services on Tron. So you never want to be a name getting distance from names like Binance and Circle. These are big names in the crypto space. If you're just joining us, Binance, of course, one of the largest, if it's not still the largest global crypto exchanges, and Circle, the issuer of the second largest stablecoin. So, if they're distancing themselves from you, Tron, that's not a good look, and you're going to have to eventually answer for that. Why is this? Now, of course, Binance has had a great relationship with Tron historically. The reasoning why Binance would make this step now has a lot to do with the exodus of its former CEO, CZ, right? Who we did hear from last week as he's launching a new educational platform that sounds really, really interesting and fun. But ultimately, when he left Binance, that kind of left a pretty big mark in the global crypto industry that regulation of this industry is here, right? It's coming because essentially the gentleman that replaced CZ was from the TradFi establishment world, had worked in compliance department, worked very closely with some of the world's largest financial compliance departments, and is very clearly that move was there to signal crypto's getting regulated, and it's getting regulated globally. If you're going to be trying to do any shenanigans like FTX, we're going to come get your butt. And Binance, having the second biggest butt in the world, it immediately got. How do you like that? So ultimately, guys, I mean, is this really bad? It's kind of bad if you hold Tron. I mean, I don't have any Tron. I haven't in a while. Now, it really sucks for Tron because it's an ecosystem that there's been a lot of development on, right? It's not like I'm sitting here cheering this on. It may come across that way. I'm not. I do not hate Tron. It just looks like the world's regulators do, and that's not good, right? That's not good for the coin. It's not good for the project. And it's going to have to make a turnaround here. It's going to have to do something. Justin Sun, obviously well well affiliated with the project is going to need to come out and make some kind of statement or do something, right? We saw last week when the SEC was saying they're investigating the Ethereum Foundation. Vitalik said, rainbow staking, coming out and talking about how their plans to decentralize Ethereum more, right? At least he said something. Rainbow staking is a legitimate move in a direction that the SEC theoretically would be more favorable to. However, it was not very bold. It wasn't like something Elon Musk would say, which is, when he told Disney that they weren't going to advertise on his platform anymore, right? Or Disney, yeah. So anyway, we shall see. We'll need to hear something here from the Tron, world, the Tron ecosystem, very soon, or else this move from Binance and Circle are going to be seen as kind of the beginning of the end for the coin that is very, very popular in Korea and much of Asia. Not a whole lot of Tron volume in North America and Europe, from my understanding, right? And that could be wrong, but I do know that it's mostly a popular coin there in Asia. So overall, guys, bullish. I mean, we're looking at the chart here. Bullish overall for crypto. For Tron, I don't know. I mean, it's futures uncertain. There needs to be something happening over there to kind of convince the market to not swap out of Tron. But obviously, looking here at the charts here, a close above the midline of the Bollinger Band is very, very close. It's not out of reach at all. And a close above it, also for today, for Monday, a close basically above 67,751 would be very bullish, because that would also mean that we broke out of this downtrending line of resistance. So that would be very, very bullish for Bitcoin. It would be great to see, unlike the losses that Kevin Hart has seen, unfortunately, from his Bored Ape Yacht Club trade, which sold for 83% of $200,000. So quite a loss there from one of America's favorite comedians. All right, we have about 2 minutes left. Let's see the salacious part. Not salacious is just not the word, but it's a word I love to say, so I said it. It's really not salacious, but it's fun. Or it was fun, kind of. Hart's 2002 purchase was made with the help of crypto startup firm MoonPay. Sound familiar? The company reportedly assisted other celebrities in acquiring Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs in exchange for promotional activities for MoonPay, sometimes without charge. The list of celebrities included Justin Bieber, you may have heard of this gentleman, Madonna, okay, and Yemi Fallon. But MoonPay denied giving out Bored Ape NFTs for free. Okay, so this was a problem for them, and in December of 2022, MoonPay, Bored Ape, and Yuga Labs, Hart, and dozens of celebrities were caught in a class action lawsuit from Scott and Scott, the Scott duo legal team over there in California, for allegedly pushing a scheme of undisclosed celebrity endorsements. The world gasps. Or at least they did in December of 2022. Last summer, the lawsuit was updated to include auction house Sotheby's on the list of defendants. Of course, this did not turn out really all that interesting, but what has been interesting is that now 83% of a shed has been experienced for old Kevin Hart, America's favorite comedian. More one of them, you could say. Folks, I've been T-Shroom, in for the Investing Bros. We've taken a look at the charts. We've thoroughly ventured into the world of crypto, and I must say, this is going to be a list to watch. If these numbers start shrinking, right, the question is going to become, is a recession coming, right? And is that bad for financial markets? Or is a recession not coming, and is that good for financial markets? We shall see. Of course, something I've been kind of thinking about this weekend is the role of AI in the unemployment rate, not just in America, but globally. I can't imagine that that's going to be a non-issue for very much longer, as a lot of folks, white collar and blue collar, go ahead and get replaced by AI. I mean, that equals unemployment, right? One of the two mandates of the Fed's dual mandate to keep inflation low, right? Or to keep inflation at their target 2% rate, and to keep unemployment at 2.5 or 3% or whatever it is. So far, they've been wildly successful through this crazy chaos of inflation getting up to 9.1. They've been wildly successfully keeping unemployment subdued. Just how they've done that is not exactly clear, but they have. That could change again, and this isn't something I have article for, or something that other people are talking about. It's just something I was thinking about this weekend. AI does not equal more jobs, folks, and that could get dicey. Make sure that you're staying hydrated today in your trading, and if you're using a stop loss, make sure that you're using it on an exchange. How about that? We'll be going live 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Tim and I be getting down into the nitty-gritty of what matters in crypto. Thank you so much for watching. I've been T Shroom. Stay hydrated.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.